Her voice broke the silence. "Do you remember me?" I faltered. I still remember the exact moment my past found me. It was a quiet Thursday evening, and the cafe had almost emptied. Rain tapped softly against the windows while I wiped down the last table, already thinking about going home. The only sounds were the coffee machine humming behind the counter and an old jazz song playing through worn-out speakers. Then the front door opened. A woman stepped inside, shaking raindrops from her dark coat. She looked around the room until her eyes settled on me. For a second, neither of us moved. Then she spoke. "Do you remember me?" Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't have to be. Somehow it silenced everything around us. I frowned, searching her face. Those green eyes, that tiny scar above her left eyebrow. Something deep inside me stirred. My mouth suddenly felt dry. She smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. I wondered how long it would take. I stood frozen behind the counter, feeling like I'd been pushed backward through time. Because I knew that voice, I just couldn't remember from where. "I'm sorry," I admitted quietly. I know you." "You should." There wasn't anger in her words. There was disappointment, and somehow, that hurt even more. She walked closer, removing her coat. Underneath, she wore a simple blue sweater and jeans. Nothing about her looked extraordinary. Yet I couldn't stop staring. She looked familiar in a way that made my chest ache. "I'm Ethan," I said awkwardly. "I know. You have the advantage." She laughed softly. "I guess I do." I poured her a cup of coffee without asking. She thanked me and sat near the window. Outside, rain blurred the streetlights into streaks of gold. Inside, silence stretched between us. Finally, I carried my own mug over and sat across from her. "So," she wrapped both hands around the warm cup. "My name is Claire." The name landed like a pebble in still water. Claire. Suddenly, a blurry memory surfaced. A little girl laughing beside a lake. Someone handing me a paper boat. A yellow bicycle. Then, it disappeared again. "You remember something," she noticed. "Just pieces." She nodded. I expected that. I rubbed my forehead. "I'm sorry. You've apologized twice already. I feel like I should." She looked out the window. "You don't even know what you're apologizing for." "I know." Another long silence. Finally she asked, "How's your mother?" I blinked. "She passed away 6 years ago." Claire lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry. How did you know her?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead she whispered, "She used to make us lemonade every summer." My heart skipped. "Us. Not you. Us." I stared at her. "Knew each other as kids?" Claire smiled sadly. "We were inseparable." I leaned back, trying to force memories to return. Nothing. "I had an accident," I explained, "when I was 23. "I know. My head injury erased parts of my childhood. I know that too." "You knew?" She nodded. "I came to visit you." "When?" "At the hospital." "I don't remember." "You weren't awake." I felt strangely guilty. She had carried memories of me for years, while I'd erased her without even knowing. "I'm sorry," I whispered again. This time she reached across the table and gently touched my hand. "You don't have to keep saying that." Her touch felt oddly familiar, comforting, like hearing a song I'd forgotten. "You've changed," she said. "I hope that's a good thing. You smile less." That caught me off guard. "I smile. Not like you used to." I laughed nervously. "You seem very sure." "I am." She leaned back. "When we were 12, you smiled so much your father used to call you sunshine." I froze. No one had called me that in decades. Not once. Not since Dad died. She smiled. "I told you. We were inseparable." The cafe lights flickered as the storm outside grew stronger. I glanced around. I should close. I can leave. No. The word came out faster than I expected. I mean, stay a little longer. She nodded. I was hoping you'd say that. After locking the doors, I returned with fresh coffee. So, I asked carefully, what happened after we were kids? Claire looked into her cup. You left. My family moved? Yes. Without saying goodbye? You promised you'd come back. I didn't. No. The sadness in her eyes answered questions I hadn't asked. I wrote letters, she continued, every month. I never got them. I know. How? They all came back. I frowned. My father changed jobs 3 times. She nodded. I figured. Lost each other. The words hung painfully between us. She reached into her purse. I wasn't sure I'd give this to you. She placed a faded photograph on the table. I picked it up carefully. 2 children stood beside an old oak tree. A skinny boy with messy brown hair. A girl with long blonde braids, both covered in mud, both laughing. I turned the picture over. Best friends forever, summer 1998. My handwriting. I stared at it until my vision blurred. That's us. Claire nodded. You insisted we'd always be together. A strange pressure filled my chest. Not quite pain. Not quite joy. Something between the two. I really don't remember. I know. She wasn't blaming me. That somehow made it worse. I've spent years trying to remember pieces of my childhood. You'll remember. You sound certain. She smiled gently, because memories don't always live in your head. What do you mean? They live here. She touched her heart. She lightly tapped my chest. They just need someone to wake them up. For the first time that evening, I believed her. The storm finally eased around 9. Claire stood and slipped her coat back on. I should go. When will I see you again? She hesitated. I don't know. Tomorrow? I live 2 hours away. Then next week. She looked surprised. You want to see me again? I've spent the last 2 hours trying to remember someone who clearly mattered to me. I smiled. I'd like another chance. For the first time all evening, she smiled with her whole face. There you are. What? That smile. She laughed softly. That's the Ethan I remember. As she reached the door, she paused. Oh, now, one more thing. What? Tomorrow is your birthday. I blinked. How did you know that? She smiled without turning around. I've never forgotten. The bell above the cafe door chimed as she stepped into the cool night. I watched until her car disappeared. Only then did I notice something still lying on the table. A small folded piece of paper. My name was written across the front in handwriting I somehow recognized. Hands trembling, I unfolded it. Inside was a drawing, an old oak tree, a tiny wooden treehouse, and 2 stick figures holding hands. At the bottom, one sentence was written in blue ink. You promised we'd come back together, because that's where we buried the secret. I stared at the words, my heart pounding. What secret? And why did reading that sentence make me feel like somewhere, deep inside my forgotten memories, I already knew the answer?